Please remember, none of this is financial advice, and I have a bias towards the XX Network. I am a council member, and the show is sponsored by the XX Foundation.
The world is a projection of our collective consciousness. If our collective consciousness reaches that place of peace, harmony, laughter, and love, it will be a different world.
They talk positively. Our relationship has gotten so in such a dark stage that something like this is progress.
Yeah, stuff like this is progress just because things didn't get worse?
Well, because we're talking.
We have an interdependent economy with China. China is one of the largest countries in terms of GDP, and our relationship with them is getting rocky. And for the world to progress, we need to keep diplomacy. Janet Yellen recently met with Xi Jinping to discuss the economy. In 2008, China helped stabilize the U.S. economy by purchasing treasuries. Now China is dumping their treasuries.
Of economic turmoil. I think that's the judgment that this administration is making, demonstrated by sending 2 cabinet officials to say, let's try to work our way through this
and you agree
in the
with
near
that?
term. Look, I see both sides of the argument. I see that now is the time where the United States is in a position of relative strength to start decoupling, to be making those strategic moves. I also see the fact that any kind of abrupt mistake in U.S.-China relations is going to have an adverse effect on the economy. This is going back to Joe's negligence point.
Right.
There's no perfect solution here. We could do a better job of understanding where is the end state that we want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I don't think we want to be as dependent as we are today.
We're actively decoupling while China is expanding across the globe and has influence in U.S. business and politics. Do you remember the Hong Kong riots? We haven't heard a word about it. The media has hushed up about Hong Kong. China took Hong Kong, and there was a small stir, but everything moved right along.
That means that if China shut down Tesla from selling vehicles, you would assume Tesla's stock would drop by 50 to 60%. That would cost Elon Musk over 30% of his net worth if Tesla stock dropped that much. And so I would draw this parallel to a national security risk and saying that what's to stop China from going to Elon and saying, hey, Elon, you better make sure that Twitter treats China in a better light. The algorithms need to be adjusted to give China a better favoring on Twitter, or we might shut you down. So basically, he has 30% of his net worth at risk. That's an awful lot of power that the Chinese carry over Tesla right now and over Elon Musk. So I would just bring that point up. I hope someone kind of heeds that warning out there and kind of looks at this a little closer. Doesn't mean he's going to comply with it, but it's just, again, it's a national security risk that needs to be evaluated.
The average goldfish has a longer attention span than the average human. In the past 15 years, our attention span has gone from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. Like I said, Hong Kong was a huge issue, and it just went away. AI controlling our lives is already here, but most are unaware.
Content. But to curate content which is produced by human beings. The humans produce stories and videos and whatever, and the AI chooses which stories, which videos would reach our ears and eyes, selecting those that will get the most attention, that will be the most viral. And while very primitive, these AI tools have nevertheless been sufficient to create this kind of curtain of illusions that increased societal polarization all over the world, undermined our mental health, and destabilized democratic societies. Millions of people have confused these illusions for the reality.
The AI's goal is to keep you on the platform. They do this by pushing your buttons. This has contributed to polarization. The Twitter files or Cambridge Analytica story proves that the intelligence agencies are manipulating people. It's not just U.S. intelligence agencies. Other countries are doing the same exact thing. We, the people, are under a trance that we're not aware of. Yuval Harari is a philosopher that believes AI is going to get to a point where it edits the genes of biology and integrates into human beings. And this is the next step in evolution.
A lot of the sort of AI risk debates today sort of assume that we're the only game in town, right? And so we have the ability to kind of sit in the United States and criticize ourselves and, have our government beat up on our companies, and we figure out a way to restrict what our companies can do. And, we're going to ban this and ban that, restrict this and do that. And then there's this other force out there that doesn't believe we have any power over them whatsoever. And they have no desire to sign up for whatever rules we decide to put in place. And they're going to do whatever it is they're going to do, and we have no control over it at all. And it's China, and specifically the Chinese Communist Party. And they have a completely publicized, open, plan for what they're going to do with AI. And it is not what we have in mind. And not only do they have that as a vision and a plan for their society, but they also have it as a vision and plan for the rest of the world.
So their plan is what? Surveillance?
Yeah, authoritarian control. So authoritarian population control, good old-fashioned communist authoritarian control, and surveillance and enforcement, and social credit scores and all the rest of it. And you are going to be monitored and metered within an inch of everything all the time. And it's it's basically the end of human freedom, and that's their goal. And they justify it on the basis of that's what leads to peace.
I accept that I have cultural biases, that I have an ethnographic point of view. And China has literally pulled billions of people out of poverty. I respect the ambition of a developing country turning into a first world country. However, communism has never worked. Our economy is in disarray from government intervention. And now we're introducing a new technology that has tremendous capabilities.
So their plan, yes. And the reason for that is they're very public on this. Their plan is to proliferate their approach around the world. And they have this program called the Digital Silk Road, right, which is building on their Silk Road investment program. And they've been laying networking infrastructure all over the world with their 5G, right, work with their company Huawei. And so they've been laying all this fabric, but financial and technological fabric all over the world. And their plan is to roll out their vision of AI on top of that, and to have every other country be running their version. And then if you're a country prone to, authoritarianism, you're going to find this to be an incredible way to become more authoritarian. If you're a country, by the way, not prone to authoritarianism, you're going to have the Chinese Communist Party running your infrastructure and having backdoors into it, right? Which is also not good.
Technology doesn't work in a vacuum. Technologies converge. Blockchain is one technology in an array of technologies that's going to impact the world we live in. Congress has called into question Prometheum and the SEC's decision to allow them to cut the line of American innovation. Dr. Feng Chao has influence in China and is an investor in Prometheum. In fact, he has written papers on how trustless ledgers will allow Americans to work for China in a trustless environment. Andreessen discusses the idea of backdoors built into these technologies. FireEye, which is one of the largest U.S. cybersecurity experts, has found these backdoors in the Belt and Road Initiative Technologies, or BRI technologies.
Wait, how is it a national security risk to the U.S., you mean?
Oh, yeah.
What's at risk for the U.S. here?
Well, the risk for the U.S., right, is that if Twitter is used in the U.S. by mass amounts of people. What if China does invade in Taiwan, or is looking to invade, but the algorithms are constantly only favoring things that say positive things about China? So the investing public, or the Twitter public, starts to favor China more. So it's the same kind of thing. I mean, imagine if in the US, Russian propaganda was on Twitter and it was being favored and everyone was viewing that. And that's the national security risk, where it could be used as a backdoor to invasion, where the US population wouldn't be as negative on it.
The collective consciousness means the society's beliefs and ideas, the moral attitudes which operates as a unifying force within society. It was coined by Emil Durkheim. It's like an individual consciousness, but at a mass scale. Today, AI technologies are responsible for curating all the information that we see. Herd behavior is determined by what the AI curates. Big tech is shaping our ideas and opinions. AI can alter the collective consciousness of society. This isn't fantasy. The Twitter files, the Cambridge Analytica story, intelligence agencies are actively shaping our consciousness.
Yeah. So good news is they're behind, but bad news is let's just say they get access to everything we do. So they're probably a year behind at each point in time, but they get, downloads, I think, of basically all of our work on a regular basis through a variety of means.
There have been numerous spies caught over the years. They're targeting intellectual property. CNBC has an in-depth documentary about this. But American designs are being stolen and copied. Intellectual property is being replicated. The application of distributed networks create unique opportunities. The XX network is using a system of 370 plus nodes to create a quantum-resistant privacy layer. Tor has been compromised. Intelligent agencies operate many of the nodes on Tor. CMEX is like a layer 2 of XX that allows unprecedented privacy. In order to use it, you need to pay postage with the XX token. My wife recently asked me for my credit card information while she was at work. I sent it to her via XX Messenger without any worries. These rails that are being built can enable enterprise use cases such as sending intellectual property without it being compromised.
And they are, we'll see, they're at least putting out reports of they just put out a report last week of a GPT 3.5 analog. They put out this report, forget what it's called, but they put out this report of this LM they did, and they the way when OpenAI puts out, they one of the ways they test GPT is they run it through standardized exams like the SAT, right? Just how you can kind of gauge how smart it is. And so the Chinese report, they ran their LLM through the Chinese equivalent of the SAT. And it includes a section on Marxism and a section on Mao's Zedong thought. And it turns out their AI does very well on both of those topics.
There's a trend in America where people are fed up with the wealth gap, and they're looking to communism as a solution. According to a YouGov poll in 2020, it indicated that over a third of millennials approve communism.
We don't think about using TCP/IP, the protocols of the internet. We don't think about using the HTTP, the web protocol. This needs to go into the background. And so there's a lot of focus on that user experience, making this simple, accessible, scalable. We're working on that Web3 infrastructure products. And that transition, I think, is happening. And based on what we see, at least, kind of the usability for 1 billion or 2 billion users of Web3 technology is something that will emerge over the next approximately 2 years.
As the Internet of Value becomes a reality, when money is moved seamlessly on the web, AI is going to be applied to value. What impact will that have? There was a recent project called Project Arkham that incentivizes users to dox wallets, to reveal as much information about wallets as possible, to try to figure out who owns the wallet and who they are. This project incentivizes surveillance.
Can they say no to a spot ETF?
Well,
how much longer?
Well, it goes to that issue. I think that when the SEC approved the futures-based ETF, they said, let's look at the futures market. We see the surveillance. We see the protections in that market for the end investor that are sufficient. We don't see them in the spot market, so we're going to make that distinction. I think what the institutions are arguing is that those distinctions have gone away, and now the spot product is actually less drag, more efficient for the investor. So if there's not that delta in regulation, not that delta in what I could say efficacy, the spot should be approved. That's the argument that's going on right now. Look, the regulatory process, whether it doesn't matter.
Been a while already.
It's been a while already. What I would say is this: if they're right, that you can demonstrate that the spot market has similar efficacy to the futures market, it would be hard to resist approving a Bitcoin ETF.
The big guys are legitimizing crypto by creating financial products such as a spot Bitcoin ETF. Blockchain is going to underpin a new financial system, and we're just at the beginning. At the same time, other nascent technologies such as the Internet of Things, quantum computing, and AI are advancing. At one point, all these technologies are going to converge into a new financial system. Technology allows everything to be amplified. As Mark Andreessen stated earlier, if you're a country prone to totalitarianism, the AI and blockchain is going to amplify this. That is why it's critical for our moral values to be applied.
In that particular ecosystem.
And is that facility dependent on DLT? Could we have it without DLT?
So in our case, we are looking at DLT or blockchain technology as a key enabler to making that happen. And we believe that technology in particular, so to answer the question that you've asked, DLT has tremendous amount of potential in terms of it becoming a mainstream component in the banking infrastructure. And I believe that the vast majority of financial services institutions either have already started investing in this capability or will start investing in this capability in the near term, because this capability has so far already demonstrated that you have tremendous amount of efficiency gains, speed, opportunities to reduce your operating costs, to improve innovation, and fundamentally introduce tokenization, which is actually in the capital markets in particular, going to help reduce ticket sizes and open up products and services to a wider population that previously hasn't been able to get access to those, and thus you're going to increase the liquidity pools.
All value is going to be tokenized and accessible to everyone with an internet connection.
What is the compute called for AIs? The tokens, right? You pay for a certain number of tokens, right? It's obvious to me that a tokenization of an AI, open AI network makes total sense, because you create a payment system for paying the tokens, using the tokens. It can create an economy. So if there's one way for the machines to create an economy, it's the tokenization of itself as a network. Right? Most of these are not closed networks right now. Now, Stability AI, and there's a few others that are open source. Okay, that leads itself, even the fact that you are paying for tokens to use tokens for that. I think that makes a tremendous amount of sense, as it does with cloud compute and other big open networks of this sort.
When you use AI software, you get an allotment of tokens and you spend them on specifications, how big the picture is, how detailed it is, etc. These digitally native platforms are perfect for crypto assets. And when you apply crypto to these platforms, software suites will emerge, new use cases will emerge, convertibility of AI tokens to other assets occur. The real story behind the application of blockchain is we are creating a supercomputer that is made up of smaller computers that are incentivized with tokens. Distributed computation in finance is going to change the game. Use cases that are unimaginable. Economies created from software. Bitcoin introduced ASIC chips. Soon every part of your cell phone or computer will have many specialized chips that are able to handle one job really well versus one chip that is generalized computation. These ASIC chips will be lent out to a global supercomputer when not in use. Like the collective consciousness, we are creating a collective supercomputer with advanced capabilities. It's just started, and the results of this are going to have a profound impact on society and the economy. Our collective consciousness is a giant train wreck. No one wishes anyone well anymore, and the worst bit is it's played out online for all of us to feed off of and opine about. Thanks everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. If you enjoy content like this, please consider joining my Patreon or my Ghost site, dmjr.ghost.io.